Hi YouTube, Spin here, and today I'm going to talk about what I think is a fairly significant shift in the meta, by way of an analysis of how SUMN FC attack on split. For those of you who aren't aware, SUMN FC are a team who are ranked top 5 in Europe after back-to-back great results in tournaments over the past 2 weekends. On October 3rd and 4th, they took part in the Valorant Contenders Cup, coming second to FPX, and this past weekend won the Epic LAN 31 event, beating fellow top EU contenders Oxygen Esports. What surprised me most was their impressive attacking record on splits, which has generally been accepted as the most defense-sided map in the game so far. After digging a bit deeper, I noticed a trend. Here are some results taken from Liquipedia, where the red number indicates the number of rounds won on the team's attacking side and green on the team's defending side. While there aren't many games to look at so far, we can see a fairly consistent trend in teams winning more rounds on their attacking side than on their defense, something which would have been unheard of a month or two ago. I think what's critical is the prevalence of both Jet and Raze, as well as Breach, which gives the teams the option to play exceptionally aggressively, bursting onto site and closing distance very quickly, whilst being supported by the long-range flashes that Breach offers. It seems, however, that this lineup is a lot less well equipped to defend, which leads to these seemingly attack-sided games on this map. In each of the games I've shown, the team who attacked first won, with the exception of FPX and Oxygen, who managed to weather the storm on defense with a 6-6, and win with a commanding 7-3 and 7-4 respectively on their own attacking side. So let's get on to the review. Since unfortunately the SUMN FC vs Oxygen game wasn't streamed, I'll review a few rounds from the SUMN FC vs Need More DM game to highlight how they use this lineup, and then a few rounds from SUMN FC vs FPX to see how FPX managed to survive with their 6-6 half. And as always, thank you so much for choosing to watch my video. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, it really does help me out. So let's get on with it. The first round I want to analyse is Need More DM vs SUMN round 5, which is the first proper gun round. A little bit of an atypical start to the game. Need More DM won the pistol round, SUMN won round 2, but then Need More DM forced with an operator in round 3, which meant that when they lost that round, they also lost the subsequent round, meaning that this was the first round, which was a proper gun round for both teams. So we'll see how the round plays out, and it's a good indicator of how SUMN FC play their attack on split. And we see early on, if I bring up the minimap, the setup that they use is to have one player towards their B site, one player towards the A site, and 3 players towards mid. So they rotate between the players that they use on mid, but typically they use the Jet, the Breach, and the Omen, with the Raze over on the B site. In this particular occasion, they've swapped over those 2 players. They've done that because they're going to play an aggressive attack on mid. So you see here, Boaster moves up. They push aggressively here. Taijin gets a kill from Vents, but is traded up. And BZT is unfortunate to walk into the Breach cannon. So it goes to a 3v3, which favours the attacking side. And what we see immediately after that is that SUMN FC just go completely silent. And this is what I love about their setup. They now have control of mid. Boaster moves up from his position into Vents to destroy the alarm bot. So it's very typical at the moment for teams to set up an alarm bot or a Cypher tripwire in Vents to allow information on people rotating through mid, as it's very typical for the defending side to only defend B heaven and A heaven, as mid is quite hard to contest for the defending side. SUMN FC know this, so what they do is take slow control of mid. So once they've destroyed that alarm bot, they know the defending side no longer has any information on where their team is. So they go completely silent, and we'll see. Boaster destroys this alarm bot at about 1:10 on the clock, and we don't see anything from the team for another 30 to 35 seconds, where they set up on B side and just wait. What this does is just makes Need More DM really uncomfortable. They have no information and they're just waiting, and they know that someone are going to do something. And this is sometimes enough just to force a mistake. In this particular case, Need More DM don't really make a mistake. They decide to hold B heaven, which is a pretty good decision because it means that they can rotate more quickly to A site while holding the B site. So let's have a quick look at the execute that SUMN do. They send the Breach ult towards the kind of forward site area underneath heaven. They teleport the Omen into back site, and they smoke off heaven. What that does is means that no one can threaten them from heaven, no one can threaten them from this forward site under heaven area, and they have information at the very least on back site where they can pressure with the Breach flashes and the Cypher who's following up. And we'll see how this plays out. It's a good execute from them. What happens is that Need More DM make a little bit of a mistake. They don't wait to retake this site. They push in. Husser gets 1 kill, but Boaster trades him up and then gets the 2nd kill. And really, it's just a difficult situation for Barcode. He has to try and take a 2v1 against a team who's very disciplined, and really he has no chance. So after that round, Need More DM are forced to eco, and this round is the next gun round between the two teams. And we can see the other thing that SUMN FC like to do on their attack, and that's just to play an aggressive 5-stack and burst onto site. As I mentioned, they're able to do this because of the lineup that they choose, which has both Jet and Raze, and also the Breach. The Breach can support from far back and pressure the whole site with his flashes, while the Jet and Raze with their mobility options allows them to get into site and create loads of space for their team. So the first thing they do is they smoke off main with the Jet smoke, but you can see how aggressive they're playing here. Doma on the Raze has already satcheled straight up into ramps, followed by the Jet. So two people are already ready to push into heaven, literally only 5 seconds into the round. There's a small mistake on the execute, where the smoke for the Omen doesn't go up in time to block vision from the operator. And in fact, Barcode takes this shot and misses, which is kind of fortunate, but at the same time, that mistake is caused by the fact that they're pushing so aggressively that he has to try and take a shot against a fast-moving opponent. And that smoke there, combined with the Raze grenade, allows him to pick up the kill on the operator. Doma picks up a second kill, Mo clears up backside, Mystic with a kill as he supports, and it's a really fast execute, all the while being supported by the Breach with his flashes from main. And after that, the remaining two players on Need More DM just decide to save rather than contest the rest of the round. So what they tend to do, as I mentioned in the previous round, is that they have 3 people towards mid on their default rounds. So what that could encourage is a team to stack up mid to deny them that area. But by throwing in these 5-man stacks, these burst rounds, it really means that leaving the sites undefended is a huge risk, because they could, on any given round, just burst onto that site, get the kill on the guy that's on the site, or get the site completely for free. So this leaves the defenders the option to either stack mid and deny that game to SUMN, but risk being opened up by a 5-man burst, or they can leave mid open, defend the sites, and allow SUMN to play their default game, where they deny information and get control of mid. Mixing up these two approaches makes it a very hard attack to play against, and it forces Need More DM into a couple of mistakes, which we'll look at on the next round. The following round, round 7, SUMN play a default round, and they get a really nice, fortunate early kill from Doma on the flank. And this just sets them up for a really easy round. You can see the 3 guys here pushing to mid, but Barcode doesn't want to commit too hard to holding this. He backs off, and it gives them so much room for free. So as they move up silently, they still don't have information on these guys up in heaven, in this aggressive position. They get a really early kill. BZT is completely caught out now in B lobby. He has no option but to try and push. He gets 1 kill, which is pretty much all he can hope for. He gets traded, and that's really the round over. Taijin and Hussa both back off and decide to save. Hussa manages to pick up 1 kill, but it's pretty much irrelevant, and it ends up being an easy win for SUMN. So on to round 9, the next gun round between both teams, and we can see what SUMN do when they're playing at a slight deficit. They don't have the perfect round start that they had in the previous round. Early on, we can see how they take control of mid. Firstly, they use the Breach stun into Mail, and the flash, which forces Barcode on his operator off of his angle. They also use this pretty atypical smoke. What's atypical about it is that usually you'd put the smoke a little bit higher up here, so that it just blocks the doorway, and that any defender pushing out is at a disadvantage. What this smoke does is that not only does it block the doorway, it also blocks behind the box. The disadvantage is that the defenders can push through this smoke, and they can peek on numerous angles to try and get a pick. So they use this to establish early mid control, but once this smoke is placed, they don't push up further than the smoke. So you'll see here, they have mid control, and they just sit and wait while that smoke fades. Once the smoke fades, and they're sure that there's no one contesting them in mid, they place a second smoke at the top of Mail, which blocks off anyone from heaven, before moving up into mid.
Now it's the better. No. The defensive side.
And what this smoke does is forces the defending team to either play an aggressive, risky play, or it forces them to just give up mid. Barcode plays really well, gets an aggressive kill. It's a big risk, but he does well, and now SUMN are at a disadvantage. But it doesn't change the plan. They still play exactly the same way. They move up slowly and take control of vents. And this silence, it just puts a huge amount of pressure on the defending side. It makes them feel really uncomfortable, that they want to get more information, to the point where Need More DM make a mistake, having Barcode and BZT push too far forward into Mystic, who's holding the angle, and it gives the kill to SUMN. So now they're back on level pegging. Boaster flashes into heaven as a fake while the team gathers towards the B site. Crazy Deer gets completely caught out there, placing the smoke while he's standing in the open. And the fast execute comes out onto the B site. And here's a great individual play from Doma. He gets 1 kill by pushing up aggressive, picks up a second, and it's game over for this round. So on to FPX. The first round I'm going to analyse is round 6. And the reason for this is because I think it would be too easy to fall into the trap of thinking that with the 11-1 scoreline on Summon's attack versus Need More DM, that Summon were just better on Split, that Need More DM hadn't practiced it very much, that Summon had the better players, or any other reason for thinking that it wasn't a great strategic advantage from Summon that led to their victory. So this round, against FPX, who are arguably one of the best teams in the world, definitely one of the best teams in Europe, we'll see them run exactly the same strategy, almost to the letter, and it works out really well for them. So let's watch the round. The first thing we're going to see is the Breach, same position. He's going to throw out the same stun and the flash on this wall to push out of his angle, and then the same smoke from the Omen. And one other thing that's worth noting is that FPX start 3 players on the A site because they're wary of the aggressive A rush that Summon like to do. As soon as they're confident that Summon aren't doing this and they're sticking with their default, you'll see Shadow rotate off the site very quickly and Zipan goes to support in mid.
Not so much. There's that wall. It's going to get reinforced as well, so it gets that little bit of extra health.
They get delayed a little bit by the Sage wall and the Brimstone smoke, but they wait patiently until the smoke's cleared.
I think you have to realize for Summon.
And then we'll see again, same smoke towards Mail from the Omen.
This is where they need to show up. This is where they need to deliver some serious.
They take slow control of mid, Vents and Mail.
Handle being pressured.
This time they have the Cypher move into Vents to destroy the tripwire before they execute. And we'll see now Summon are ready to execute. The Breach will stun across here to catch anybody on Catwalk, and it catches Shao. The Omen puts a smoke towards the back of Heaven to cover anybody on the angle on stairs, and then he'll flash across under Heaven, which catches Meadow as the execute comes in. The Fake was enough to bring out the Brimstone ultimate and cause Shadow just to rotate off.
No, that Hellfire can be dead.
Mo is unfortunate to not get the kill. He turns away, I think, before the final bullet hits.
And Mo didn't manage to get the kill.
Even with a small mistake from Mo, it ends up in a 3v3, which Summon win. Really great round from them.
The result goes out, but no one goes down. Zipan, he's looking around them. They may not spot him at this. Oh, Mystic.
So now hopefully you're all convinced that the strategy is pretty good. Let's see what FPX do to bring this from 3-5 down to 6-6 at the half.
I thought FPX would fall by it, I'm not too sure. And they do have a lot of ults online anyways. But I would much rather see it saved over for this kind
Fairly
of
slow start to the round.
Because the impact it's going to bring you just on an econ level is so much greater. There's the wall popped, and it's...
Summon opt for a more standard vent smoke this time.
So consistent.
Shao uses his wall to try and get cover behind the box. And they try and play a little bit more aggressively here. But Zipan gets killed by Mystic. Really great pick from him.
He's got the box to hide behind still, but...
It's just a little bit of a mistake from FPX here. And you see how they rectify this. On the minimap, we can see Shao has been forced to rotate all the way around, but he has his resurrection on the Sage. What's crucial here is the position of Angel. He's moved up into Vents, and he's done this specifically to counter the Vents lurk from a member of Summon. So it's already happened on a couple of rounds now, and FPX are starting to adapt, and you'll see this ends up being pretty crucial for them. Angel gets the pick to bring it to 4-4 in terms of players alive. Meadow gets taken down, but Shao quickly revives Zipan and gets a kill on Sack. And now it's a 4v3. FPX had the advantage. It ends up being fairly fortunate for them. Zipan with a double kill with his Raze ult. And the round ends quickly. So on to round 10. I want to highlight another way that FPX have countered Summon's setup. As I mentioned earlier, one way of potentially countering the default that they use is to stack people towards mid, as that denies them that area that they like to take control of. That's exactly what FPX have done here. If we look at the minimap, there are 2 people stacked towards B Heaven and 1 in Vents ready to contest mid. However, this leaves you open to a 5-man rush, particularly on the A site, where it's harder to rotate to. We don't typically have 2 people holding A Heaven, since they can't support mid. We tend to see 2 people holding B Heaven, where they can support mid and hold the B site. So A is a much easier site to rush, and that's the one that Summon tend to opt for. So here, Angel is the only one who can stop this rush. And as the round starts, he smokes off main and fires a molly to delay this push. And he tells his team now that he's seen one go through and that the rest are held by that Molotov. And FPX rotate really fast to come and support. All 4 members of FPX who are on the other sites come to support. And as soon as they think that the danger is over, and the team just starts to rotate back, expecting Summon to return to their default setup, which is what they do. It's a slow round from here on out until it gets to around 30 seconds remaining, which is typical from the rounds of Summon. As you can see, they're doing the same thing as usual. moving up towards mid, slowly getting control of vents. On this occasion, they've missed one thing, and that's that Angel is 1 point away from his ultimate, and you can see him moving up here on the minimap to take this orb. What this allows him to do is have Angel, once again, just control the A site completely on his own, while the rest of his team stack towards B. Now we know at this point that Summon are going to choose one of the two sites to execute on. Angel is confident with his ultimate that he can delay the push long enough for his rotation to come in, and potentially to win the round. Whereas if they run into a 4 stack on the other site, they're confident they can win there. So they're in a really commanding position for Summon's late execute. Summon decide to execute onto the A site, FPX rotate, and Angel drops his ultimate to slow down the push. It's a little bit of a dodgy ultimate. He should have put it a little bit closer to the site, but it's not a big mistake. As you can see, Xiao comes in time, Angel gets a kill, and they close up the round. But really, they won this round with a very good delay at the beginning and very fast rotations. So if they become aware of that 5-man push, they rotate very quickly to counter it, but then rotate very quickly back so they're not vulnerable to the default from Summon. Great round from FPX, really good counter, and a well-deserved win. So on to round 11. I've included this one just to show the difference in the mistake we saw earlier with Barcode, where he allowed Summon FC to move all the way up into B Heaven completely for free. We'll see here, FPX, Xiao and Zipan, they use the boombot through the smoke to confirm that there are players still there in mid.
I'm glad they mixed it up, otherwise we really would be miserable. Like, oh, yeah,
And once the smoke goes down, they stand strong, hold their ground, take the fights, and they win with 3 easy kills in mid. Little bit of a mistake from Summon there, but the fact that they didn't give them any ground for free meant that they were in a position to take those kills when the opportunity arose. And after that, Summon are forced to save for the rest of this round. So round 12, final attacking round for Summon FC, and a little bit of a different round this time. Where they previously run their default game and their fast executes, this time they're going to execute onto the B site, but slightly later than the previous rounds. The way they keep FPX off guard is by faking their default at the beginning of the round.
No, it's not especially not split, just especially Valorant. It's where you.
So you can see here, they've used the same smoke and the same breach stun as they do on the default rounds. They follow this up with the same flash. So it looks exactly the same as their default rounds. They've sent the Omen and the Raze over to B lobby to collect the ultimate orb. And as soon as they've done all this, they're ready to execute. So let's break this down in slow motion and then we'll go back and we'll watch it in faster speed. To initiate this execute, Summon FC do 3 things. They flash this wall with the breach. They smoke Heaven with the Omen. And they throw the Raze grenade into backside. In the next phase, the Raze satchels fast into backside, while the breach flashes this box, and they clear backside with the Raze ultimate. Obviously, if there's no one backside, they would use the Raze ultimate here, but they in fact find Meadow. The Jet also dashes in at the same time, smokes off CT, and simultaneously with all of that, the Omen flashes across the site here. I actually think there's a small mistake in the execute here, that the flash doesn't cover the back of the pillar. I think that was the intended plan, but it's a small mistake. The reason you want it to cover the back pillar is when the breach flashes this wall early, anyone who's flashed under Heaven is likely to move into the pillar for cover, and then they get hit by the Omen flash. Unfortunately on this execute, Xiao is actually under Heaven. He gets hit by the breach flash, moves into the pillar, but then isn't caught by the Omen flash. And he manages to pick up a couple of kills. So a small mistake that if it had been a little bit tighter, they might have managed to avoid, but it brings them to a 3v3. So let's watch it through with the minimap open in slow motion so you can see all of that. So remember, breach flash, Omen smoke, and Raze grenade all at once. Second flash, as the Raze satchels in, clears out backside with the ultimate. You can see Xiao there behind pillar, but he's not hit by the Omen flash, so he's able to survive and pick up a couple of kills. He gets traded, and it's now a 3v3, and someone managed to clean up. So let's go back and watch that one more time. It's a very quick execute, but at full speed, this is what it looks like.
Yep, there we go. Straight over towards the back. Meadow.
Lovely.
Is going to get tagged. Oh, no, he doesn't expect that. Meadow didn't even have time to react. He was so bamboozled by what was going on around him. Xiao was still able to find himself a couple, but that's all he's going to get for now.
And the whole fight is over in about 6 to 10 seconds. And now it's down to a 3v3 retake situation. A great execute from Summon FC. And they managed to clean up at the end. And it brings it to a 6-6 half. So what can we take away from all of this? I think it's fair to say that Summon have cemented themselves as one of the top teams in Europe with this performance. They're definitely able to compete with the likes of FPX, as we can see here. They're well drilled. They have some great individual talent, particularly Doma, who shone in this game. And I'm really excited to see how they perform in the First Strike tournament, where they'll be going in with a bit of expectation behind them this time. And that brings us to the end of the video. For all you legends who stayed all the way to the end, thank you so much. Your support means a huge amount to me, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more Valorant content, I also stream on Twitch TV/CoachSpin, Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays from 13 CEST. Hope to see you there.